Tonight and Maybe Tomorrow is an apocalyptic drama set to hit GenreBlast Film Fest in Virginia tomorrow. If you're a fan of films like Seeking a Friend for the End of the World or Richard Linklater's Before Trilogy, I think that you'll genuinely enjoy this movie, which has a pretty simple premise about a group of people that gather together in a friend's house in order to have a party while the end of the world just so happens to be going on outside. While at the party, one guy named Addison reunites with an old pal named Cass who recently went through a breakup. Seeing how it is the end of the world and everything, the two of them decide to play out an entire relationship that night and collectively enjoy the togetherness of being just with friends, going through similar turmoil, all while trying to just enjoy their last night on Earth. So as I had mentioned before, there was a couple of films that came to mind when I watched this. The first being Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, which if you're not familiar with that, it's a movie that stars Steve Carell and Keira Knightley, who have a little bit of an adventure together while the world is ending around them. I remember thinking that it was such a unique concept because it was the only apocalyptic film that I could think of that used the apocalypse as a setting rather than the plot. I mean, usually you're right in the middle of everything, either fighting to save the planet or attempting to run and hide, basically doing the fight or flight concept, but Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, as well as Tonight and Maybe Tomorrow, are about everybody else in these scenarios. And it's about striving to connect, even in the face of the world ending. It's about the togetherness and enjoying life, even when logically there's not really any point. The togetherness was already there as we have a group of people just enjoying each other's company, but there's a secondary story about Addison and Cass, the story about how they met and felt strongly towards each other over the years, but their timing was always off. Now, they have the time to be together, but it's also literally the last day on Earth too. So this is where my connection to the Before Trilogy comes into play, particularly with Before Sunrise. There's a lot of talking and playful banter between these two that feels authentic and relatable. They have a lot of chemistry together that you can believe. Basically, this film's a canvas. Their chemistry, the paint, and the result's a portrait of love that fans of romance will carry with them long after the credits fade. Though, please keep in mind the budget constraints of the film. Being lower in budget, one of the biggest limitations the film has is ultimately showing the audience what's going on outside as to how the world is ending. Basically, what is it going on outside, you know? You are told on multiple occasions that there are people out there fighting on the enemy lines, and then you have other scenes where our heroes run into the yard screaming at the top of their lungs to the sky, flipping it off, which would seem to suggest an alien invasion. But I also think that the film did something remarkably smart here by not showing too much about what's going on, because at the end of the day, it's not supposed to be a war film or an alien film. It's not really even supposed to be a movie about the end of the world. Again, that's just the setting. It really is about these people and how they decide to spend their final hours on Earth. Some are having a great time. Others are faking smiles. Some are very visibly distraught. And honestly, that's just human. I could see this happening in real life. What's more is if you're paying attention to all these different people in this house, they're all kind of similar because they're either people who have lost family and friends and have nowhere else to turn to, or they're social outcasts and they have nowhere to turn to. Some are friends that have known each other for years, others are complete strangers. And I think that's a reflection of life in general. You won't always know everybody that you run into in life, but if you get to know them, you might be surprised about how easily you could get along. I think that all of that was really well done for this movie. I do not, however, think that the end result of the film is 100% what our writer-director of the movie, Michael Smallwood, preferred. I think that if he had an unlimited budget, we would see something else. We would definitely see more hints of what was going on outside, either through news media outlets, phone images, or just smart framing from a cinematography standpoint, where maybe you see certain things out the window in the background. But the lack of budget means that the explanation is sometimes unclear, and I found myself frustrated because I just wanted to know a couple of more details of what was going on outside, so that was constantly in the back of my mind the entire time. Michael Smallwood, by the way, I've been keeping an eye on him lately. I know that he was in the movie Live Screamers, which I really love that series, and I've covered it in a previous year at GenreBlast. So it was good to see him tackle his own project as well as co-star in the movie. In terms of some technical stuff, I think that the movie looks good for the most part, especially when they would utilize bright purple and pink lights for some scenes. The performances were fine from most of the cast, with the standouts being our leads and the chemistry that they had together. Very believable stuff there. I'm going to give it 67 out of 100 possible stars. For me, that's a C+ letter grade. But what about you guys, though? Have you seen tonight and maybe tomorrow? Are you at GenreBlast? What are some of your favorites from this festival this year? Let me know in the comments. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review for GenreBlast. And until then, peace out.